All right. Good morning. Hello. Happy New Year. Welcome back. Do this. All right, here we go. I think we are all set. Welcome. First of all, like I said, Happy New Year. Thanks for checking out the stream. If you are new and don't know, or catch this video in the future and don't know, haven't seen me before, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord, and I typically stream weekly around this time, 10 a.m. Central Time on Saturdays, working on CircuitPython stuff. I have been off for a couple of weeks, so this is first stream back since before Christmas, I think was the last one I did. But we are back now, and like I said, I usually stream 10 a.m. Central Time on Saturdays, working on stuff related to CircuitPython. If you don't know what CircuitPython is, you can learn more about it at the main website, circuitpython.org. It is basically a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. You can plug these into your computer with a USB cable. Most typically is the way it works. There are a couple other ways it can work, but USB cable is the easiest, most basic. You plug it in, it shows up like a thumb drive. You can save a Python code file on that thumb drive, and when you save it, the changes will get automatically reset and executed by the chip that is on these little microcontroller devices. So that is the super quick version of CircuitPython and microcontrollers. There are lots of other ways to program microcontrollers. CircuitPython is just one of them, but it's the one that I most typically work on here on the stream. If you would like to help support CircuitPython, one of the easiest ways to do that is by supporting Adafruit. Adafruit is a hardware and software company based out of New York. They pay a team of folks, including myself, to work on CircuitPython. The whole project, all the code for it and everything is all open source. It's permissively licensed. You can fork it. You can do whatever you want with it within the license, which is very permissive. If you want to help support CircuitPython and Adafruit, one of the easiest ways to do it is by purchasing hardware from them, which you can do on their website, adafruit.com. You can get microcontrollers that they design. You can get microcontrollers that other people have designed. You can get all sorts of bits and bobs to plug into your microcontrollers to make other projects and things. And then you can also get bigger, quote unquote, bigger devices than microcontrollers, like the Raspberry Pi here, which is a more fully fledged full computer on a little board, rather than microcontroller, which is kind of like a computer, but not nearly as fast and capable as a Raspberry Pi. Okay, so I think that is it for the intro. Thanks for, again, for anyone tuning in. Check out Adafruit. Thanks to them for making CircuitPython possible, and frankly, just generally paying folks to work on open source software. There's lots of other open source software that Adafruit has published, Arduino, and other stuff as well. So huge thanks to them for doing that, and huge thanks to everyone who supports them. Today, as the title says, I would like to dive in a little bit to CircuitPython MIDI Synthio stuff. I think we're probably going to start with this one. So let me rearrange the order without tracking everything if I can. And this kind of goes along with I got for Christmas a MIDI controller. Let me scooch this actually just slightly here. Whoop. There we go. Gonna want to be able to see that. So for Christmas I got a MIDI controller. What is this? MPK 4 Mini 4. Got one of these for Christmas. Oh, I didn't know these are RGB. Interesting. I have to figure out how to control the lights. I haven't gotten that far into it. I've been playing a lot with it plugged into an old laptop and then a Raspberry Pi as well, but I haven't gotten into like controlling the lights and stuff, only sending inputs. But I have been playing a lot with this for the couple of weeks that I've been off since Christmas, because I got one of these and it's a cool neat little thing. So I have a Fruit Jam set up. I have this thing plugged into it. I don't have the camera set up so you can't see it, because instead I've got VLC set up for the input on the Fruit Jam. So the HDMI from the Fruit Jam is going into a capture card into VLC, and this computer does not like to run 3 video streams, it turns out. So me here in the corner on the stream, and the capture card is about all it can handle together. If I add a third one, it starts getting pretty sluggish. But there's really not much to see. It's just this keyboard plugged in with a USB cable to the Fruit Jam, not unlike the one that is here in the picture. This is obviously a different board, but the same exact setup is what's going on here. Although I do have speakers instead of headphones, so hopefully those will be able to come through. And I have messed with the MIDI controller quite a bit since I got it, but I have not ventured into the CircuitPython world of MIDI just yet. So I figured it would be good to do that on the stream, because I do kind of like to try out new stuff sometimes and just have a video record to go back on, look back at my sort of first playing with new stuff. So I have not messed very much with Synthio, only a tiny bit with Synthio, and not at all with USB MIDI on CircuitPython. So I figured it would be fun to play with both today, and I have a couple of good resources pulled up. Hug Reports to Toddbot, CircuitPython Synthio tutorial. Looks like there's a lot of great stuff here, so I'm going to be working my way through this. And then I also have a couple of projects from Sam Blenny, Hug Report to Sam as well. Let's see, this is the main one. We want these two, basically. So there's a MIDI synth, which we'll play with in a little bit, and there's a MIDI host tester, which I think is where we're going to start, just so we can make sure the keyboard is showing up and getting recognized, and we can see key presses and all that stuff. So we can jump right in. I am on 10.1 beta. Is there a newer one, or is that the latest one? I think that is the newest one. Beta 1? Beta 1, yeah, okay. So that is the newest one for now. And there is a project bundle here. Is there code? There's also code. Is it one file, or let's see. Nope, multiple files. Okay, let's get the bundle. Get a background. Is it BootPy? Do we need this? What is it? HID disable? I'll add that. I think I have a BootPy, but I don't want to overwrite, so I'll add that. Descriptor. This is for MIDI stuff, I guess. This could maybe be in USB host descriptor, the library, maybe. And then lib, I should have this stuff. If not, I'll copy. Well, there should be USB host. Maybe this doesn't use USB host MIDI. I guess this doesn't use USB host MIDI. Anyway, let's copy it to the device, and I can open the IDE instead of this thing. And my code is like a test thing, I think. This is basically... Oh wait, what is this one? Pac-Man. Save off Pac-Man somewhere else. And prints. What we'll do, we can delete this stuff. This was just an example from a repo. This one was Pac-Man. That Anne created, I think, with help from Claude. I don't know if it was converting an existing one or scratch or what, but Anne was working on this, asking for some help with it before the holiday. Pac-Man, or maybe that was after. I'm not sure if it was before or after Christmas. Recopy those, repaste. like gorillas or something? Oh, we did get ignoring unrecognized. I wonder if there's any... I do have it plugged in, and it just powered on. Kind of doing its own little screensaver thing. I wonder if... so I know it connects as multiple things, this one. Yeah, we may have to work through some bumps here. Yeah, so in the other software that I've been using, there's 3 connections. And they've usually been labeled like MIDI, DAW, D-A-W, for like audio software stuff. And then, actually remember what the third one was. Yeah, I don't remember what the third one was. But I'm guessing that maybe this is hard-coded somewhere to a certain kind or something. So let's see if we can get it to recognize. But it did find 3. Max packet size 32. Class subclass protocol. I don't know which one is MIDI, but it seems like none of them got found. Let's see if we can just do the code and figure out where we're at here. USB host scanning bus. So this did happen. Event, refresh, collect. Find you. So this would be continually calling, I assume, right? If we put this, this would be happening over and over. Yeah. Okay, so we are, I mean, we're continually scanning. This is going into here. What's up, Gordy G? Happy New Year to you as well, my friend. This is find a USB MIDI device by inspecting descriptors. Dictionary of previously checked device descriptors. Return scan results. Alright, so it says find all. Read descriptors to identify it by type. So description or descriptor, I guess. Get the descriptor of the device. Take it to bytes as K. If K is in the cache. Or none. Device cache. Well, do we have... I don't think we have a cache. Oh, we do have a cache. Why is there a cache? So this is a dictionary. Gets passed into here. Okay, so it's gonna only check it once. Descriptor, read configuration device, print descriptor. This is one of the things that got printed. Should turn off that finding thing. So this was here, and then this, okay. Not sure if this whole thing is the descriptor. Make a little footer. Okay, that is the whole thing is the descriptor, okay. So subclass. What is with K? I wish these, I might rename these. Descriptor bytes. Putting this as the key to true. Interesting. Could just use a set instead of a dictionary. Right, so then D equals subclass, I0 equals integer of subclass 0, integer of subclass 1, if D00 and I11 and I13. Okay, so yeah, this is highly specific. So if D00, so we have three interfaces. I don't know. Well, we have a subclass and then we have an int subclass, I guess. But it's calling them interfaces here because it says interface 0 is audio control, which I kind of interpret to be the first part of this. Interfaces 1 is MIDI streaming. And it returns that. Otherwise, it just prints this, which is actually exactly what we're getting. So I'm gonna guess that my device is not configured the exact same as the one Sam used. So in my case, interface 0 class subclass. I don't know what those are. Let's print these. Print D. Okay, I'm gonna give it a better name. Device class, dev class, web class. Let's just do the whole thing. Int class 0. Yeah, so I got 0, 0, 3, 0, and 1, 1. Instead of 0, 0, 1, 1, and 1, 3. So scan result is going to be just data from the descriptor. So, I mean, I could just change these to match what I actually have. Is that going to break it, or is it going to work? I could duplicate this. So it was 0, 0, 3, 0, 1, 1. Got similar numbers. MIDI streaming audio control. Yeah, I mean, I do think this is like the DAW and then the MIDI separate. Okay. Got further, but still failed interface. So it printed that stuff, none type, endpoint address. So one thing is I was thinking this was using USB host MIDI, but it seems like it's not. I wonder, I'm gonna try with this real fast and see if it works or not. Oh wow, there's already a whole video bus thing going on, Synthio and everything in here. Wow, I didn't know this was here. Let's try copy this SB This one is just the MIDI, what do they call it on there? It's like a just MIDI reader, MIDI readout, tester. All right, let's not do the audio stuff. Let's try like that. Module. Probably also MIDI. No, well, MIDI actually imported up here, so used to be host MIDI. Oh, one thing I did not do was copy over the boot stuff from Sam's repo. I wonder if that matters. All right, so it says found. Press some buttons. Nice. All right, yeah, so we got some buttons here. Cool. Okay. Let's see if we can hook up the Synthio thing here. It might be interesting to try to refactor this one to use USB host MIDI instead of these custom ones. I would imagine, I mean, it looks fairly well split up to where I would guess that we could kind of swap out the USB finding right here. The reading here would be more like, this would also get swapped out for like this type thing here, basically. Oop. And then the parsing is actually way easier because this gets all done with Adafruit MIDI. Interesting. I didn't know. So raw MIDI, this is the device. Oh, okay. I didn't know you could pass. Oh, that's really cool, actually. So you could, so usually like use like this Adafruit MIDI, I thought was a place where I've seen this before is sending MIDI out of CircuitPython to a host. But it looks like you can also just take raw in from a controller, feed it to that, and then be able to just receive objects. And it does all the parsing and everything for you. That's actually super duper handy. So that would handle parsing, and then really the thing to do would be to like split out the visualization. So get rid of all this parsing. We would reconstruct the message still, and then show the message wherever it is here, I think. And I think it also flips some of the little things on and off in the top part. But it probably wouldn't be too hard to swap that over. Might be something to try. I do want to get to making beat boops as well, though. So if this is a quicker route, I am going to try this way next. We can, so I know there's one example in Fruit Jam library that sets up the audio to use Synthio. You can import Fruit Jam and just get peripherals, put the audio on headphones, which is what I have my speakers plugged into, initialize Synthio, and then we just audio play on the synth, and then whenever we play notes, we could mess with the volume some, but whenever we play notes, by pressing them and releasing them, it should play out of the speakers with this setup. So we could maybe go back and get rid of this and put this back. Theoretically, that could come out the speakers. Doesn't print anything? Got no sound and no printout anymore either. Oh, you know what? It takes like it takes a minute. Right, there is a printout, but yeah. So this does take a minute because it is initializing like a bunch of hardware. It's initializing the DAC, which we're going to use, but it's also doing like buttons and NeoPixels and their built-in stuff. Okay, so it did find it. No, crashed. USB core error. We could maybe catch that, honestly. Sometimes that just happens. 129 and receive. Post MIDI 36 actually in our code. You could try just catching that. We actually do have USB.core anyway. Might as well just use that. Because we were definitely seeing notes a minute ago. But it does like, it does sometimes just have the like timeout or whatever. Like sometimes it does that. Message isn't defined, 41. So yeah, the rest of this should be in there as well. Maybe we're just continually getting the error now, though. It's all errors. And they're still coming in because this is scrolling. It only started when I pressed a button, but it's continuing even after I'm no longer pressing anything. I wonder if we needed to... I wonder if we need to somehow release it. Does raw MIDI have like a release or something? Or should we have... Because like my theory is maybe it's somehow stuck, sort of connected to that prior instance from before we restarted several times. And that maybe like unplugging it, replugging it might make it work again. But there might also be like a release type thing. No, not really. There's just read. Okay. At least not in that API. It doesn't extend anything either, so... Of course, this doesn't have receive, so... Right, because receive gets called on this one. So this must be calling read internally. Okay. I'm just going to unplug and replug the controller. You know what? There's something... We'll try again. We might need to move the audio initialization. I feel like I actually ran into something before. Well, okay, so we are back to working after resetting. I don't hear any sound. Turn down. It's turned all the way up. Oh, I do hear sound. Oh. Did get stuck on though. Alright, so we need like a way to turn all the notes off. So can I just rerun this, or is it going to be back to not working? There might... I kind of vaguely remember something where there's like an order that matters. Okay. It did work, and it is actually playing as well, but it is kind of quiet. But the default volume is very low. Alright. I will be right back. And we'll play with this some more. So, BRB. Okay. Let's make it a little bit louder. There's volume on this. Say that's like the highest. But it lets you set it without overriding? But I don't remember. It might be higher than that. There's like a limit where it will make you override it with a flag. Okay, that's definitely much louder. Does it come through the microphone? Yeah. Kind of clicks a little bit. Okay, so this does let us play notes when we press keys. Let me see this one. Does this one use USB post MIDI tester, or does this one use the same thing, like the same custom? USB code does use the same USB code. Okay. I'm going to skip this for now and work with the library, since that's what I've got working quickliest. But I will jump into this. Oh, I meant to put up the sun blocker. BRB one more time. We have reached the time of year where the sun shines into my eyes from over there during like the time that I stream. All right. So yeah, we might as well start from the beginning. Maybe not quite the beginning. I already have audio coming out of where I want it, so I don't need to read into like how to set up audio to come out of somewhere. An audio mixer between. Okay. Wonder if that, maybe that might help with our clicks. I don't know for sure. We'll see. So we would add a mixer. And then we would play the mixer. And then on the mixer, we would put the synth. And now we just go synth to audio. Instead, we want mixer. An import. Where does that come from? It's just doesn't say. I think it's its own import, honestly. Sample rate. I don't have a sample rate. I think it was just using the 44 thing. Put it in a variable. Buffer size. We don't have a buffer size. I don't know what would be a good size. Just pick a size. I don't know what makes sense all the way. I don't know if it's in bytes. Okay. Size it. So 1024 is the default. Maybe we start with the default. And so what we would do is audio play the mixer, and then mixer voice 0 play the synth. All right, so theoretically this would be like basically the same, I think. We could, yeah. Okay. We could initialize the TLV directly instead of Fruit Jam library. Maybe it will go faster. But thing is, there's a lot of audio controls, like volume. There's a lot of stuff, basically. A little bit trickier to control the volume. It's pretty big. Okay. This is a good chunk faster, and it's still coming through. Like I said, the volume is a little tougher of a scale to work in. Decibels, which are hard, at least for me at least, harder to, I don't know if visualize is the right word, but know what it means, basically. But that's good. We can leave that there for now. So now we have a mixer where we could control volumes and stuff independently, which is super sweet. Let's get back to Toddbot's little lesson here. What can we do? What's next? So, synth setup. Example below, the sleep times have been sped up so you can hear the noises overlapping more. New note. Notice it keeps sounding. Why would it keep? I'm not sure if I understand what that means. Huh. I think it's like, Oop, wrong side. I think it's showing the, like, decay or whatever. It's like it's doesn't just hard cut off. It kind of fades off, sort of. At least that's what it sounded like in that YouTube. Why did all this stuff below get red? Why is all this red? Why is it unresolved? It's up there. Just gonna run. MIDI note isn't defined. That's fair. Hmm. So that doesn't sound quite right. It's doing a lot of the clicking thing, essentially. I think is maybe making it not sound quite the same. Is there any reason to believe if we make this lower, it will be different? I mean, it is slightly different. Perhaps even in a way that makes it better. Wait, this is not using the variable, which is probably not good. Yeah, the lower one does sound a bit better. I want to say Lower sample rates though. We could try this. Of an exploratory mode here. Oh, I think the file's not done writing. Yeah, I've seen this before where like I paste a file and the IDE is like, okay, done, no problem, but you try to run the code and it gives you this ominous input-output error. I think it's actually still like finishing writing the file in the background somewhere or whatever. It sounds a bit better. It's definitely not as clicky. I still don't quite hear the same thing as in Oddbots, and there's no like additional setup really. Thing extra going on. So this is getting the sample rate, whereas this one. Oh, I see. Well, Todd, I see what Todd's done is just import it from there. So yeah, this is all the same. Well, I don't have actually channel count set up. I don't think that would make it. Try back to this as well. Yeah, it's more clicky. Not certain what it's supposed to sound like, but that one sounds closest to what seems correct to me, kinda. Sounds very synth saw wavy, essentially. Definitely does not sound the same as this. What is this playing out of? Is this coming out of the iPad? No. This is the audio cable. No, what kind of... Well, it's in the code, I guess. WM whatever? Or was that this code? I don't remember what kind of deck. Oh, and then that's a speaker, actually. I recognize that. Okay. Definitely sounds a bit different. I don't know. This is also from a while ago, 8 months ago. It's possible the default configurations could have changed as well. I feel like we basically have notes more or less coming out, though. There's still... There could be improvements to the way it sounds with the clicks a little bit, but it is playing. All right, so what's next? Generate tunes on a pentatonic scale. Uses a list of note offsets. By the while loop, a random note is created from that list and played. Since the note keeps sounding after release, there's some overlap. octaves of offsets. So this is playing a root, so it has a root note. Oh, and then it chooses a random one from there to add as an offset, and then it plays the one it chose. Okay. What if we can we play two at a time, I think, right? So could we do like, so play the note and also play other note? Oops. Have add dot note. It's a note object. I guess it would be actually message.note. But we're going to need to create another object as well. It's to... Yeah. Yeah, this is the wrong stuff. We need to create a Synthio note object. Other note object. Other note number. Play the one that was pressed and then also get a random one of the offsets from the one that was pressed, turn that into a note also, Synthio note object, and then play that too. Pressed other note equals other note object. Then during note off, we need to do both things as well. It's going to be copy all three of these. Well, okay. This is going to be a problem, actually. Yeah, we need to do this differently because we're not going to get a note off for this one, right? Because it's an offset. Okay, I think what we should do... Why is this like this? Unexpected argument. Okay. Float. It's expecting a float, and it got a int. I think. I guess we want to actually like this. And then maybe this would be note and other note object, because note is actually note object. We could set both of those. We could press the other note. We don't need this anymore. Put that up there to make it more consistent. And then in here, we can notes. It's actually multiples. Object in notes. Delete pressed message note. Yeah, that's fine, because that will still be the key that was actually pressed. All right, so I think this should play the note you press and one of the offsets that are from the pentatonic thing there. Oh, error 55. 53. The removing failed. Why though? Did it double up the note off? Oh, well, we can only delete it once. That should be after. So we want to release all the notes that are pressed from it, but we can only delete it once. So yeah, that just failed the second time through the for loop is what happened. The note off is not working. Why though? Yeah, that time it did. That time it did as well. Okay, seems to be working. Maybe we just got unlucky. I did see in some of Sam Blenny, I did see in some of his stuff that it does say something about adding like an override kind of release all note off type thing, because sometimes, since in MIDI note on and note off are two different messages, if you miss the note off message and your code is set up like this to where that's what turns it off, then it will just stay on, right? So we could have an extra override, like one of the buttons on the Fruit Jam could be like turn all the notes off. Oh, that one's fun. Yeah, but because it's random, it's not the same every time either. Okay, that's pretty cool. Like a template string. Chord melody. I think we might have jumped ahead a little bit. I ended up playing multiples with that one. This may be what this one does. Yeah. It is doing it a little bit differently, though. It's not like choosing from the pentatonics or anything. It's got the chord, and it is offsetting from knob A. Oh, that's using a knob? It's setup. That actually changed there. I don't think we had a knob before. Yeah. I don't think there was a knob back in here, so we'll have to find the code that does add the knob. But this one is using a knob for octaves, and then gets a note, sets it to the octave based on that. The knob, rather. The MIDI notes wraps back around. Okay, this one's just looping by adding 1 to I every time. And it's going through this list. In our case, we won't have a list like this. Instead, we will we'll play the note on the keyboard. It looks like it's probably might even be a song. I don't know. I don't recognize it from the numbers, but like it's going to play each note in succession and then loop back around. And it will play the chord of each one. So in this one, they have done it a bit differently. They just did the chord. Well, it's not tracking note offs either, though. This sleeps in between. We do have a little bit trickier setup, but I think we could still basically do it more or less the same. We had a chord like this. We get, so I think what we would want to do is make a for loop here. We're offset in chord. Scooch this in. We create a note object out of the message note plus the offset, current offset we're doing. We could put this outside the for loop. We don't want that inside. We create a note. We don't need other note stuff now because we're going to be in a for loop. We press the note. And we also need to keep the note object so that we can release it. Theoretically recreate it on the other side, but I think instead we should probably just oh, this one's just recreating? Or is it? No, it's not recreating. But it is fundamentally different since it's not separating out the note off. So I think what I'm inclined to do is put this here. This is a set. Because I don't think we care about multiple note ons of the same note. So we can discard on unique ones, I think. We'd press the note, and then what we would do is append, or I think it's called add for sets, right? No, I don't know. Update? Is that not a set? Well, this is a dictionary, not a set. Only a set if you have objects in it like that. Add, it is add, okay. Node. Alright, so we build up a set of notes inside the pressed dictionary mapped to the actual MIDI number of the note that was pressed on the keyboard. And then in here we have basically the same thing. We're going to loop over note objects that are in the dictionary. We're going to release each one. We're going to delete it. Yeah, so off actually is all the same if we do it this way, which is nice. So let's save that. This should give us the 3-note chord, 0, 4, and 7, on whatever we play. And it will be no longer random, so we could play the same note over and over and hear the same thing. Or hear nothing. Oh, I don't know why the first one didn't work. Oh, that's bad. Yeah, that's pretty cool. The extra clicking or skipping or whatever actually is kind of... You can kind of play with it and work it into the sound in a way. It's interesting. It doesn't sound... It starts to sound almost deliberate if you have the right tempo or whatever. But it is definitely just the way the sound is coming out of this thing. There might be... Yeah, I don't know. There might be ways to... Well, one thing is, I don't know if this is a drop-in... You know, we tried this PR, but... I don't know if that's... It might... Yeah, It might not be a drop-in replacement, honestly. We might need to... Yeah, honestly, it looks like there's more to this. I just dropped in the library. I didn't do anything different. Configure that. When that's not none, you must provide clock to the DAC pin. It's using a PWM out. Alright, let's give this a try, actually. Let's see what happens if we try this. So let's get this thing. We are getting the DAC already. We're setting the outputs how I want already. We're doing the volume with DSP filter clipping. Maybe that's the clipping. We're just using... No, that's DAC volume, and we are under 0, so we are okay with that. Line level, too loud for headphones. Volume 0. I'm not actually setting that. Try with just that change and see if that makes any difference on the... It's very loud for one thing. I don't know what the default is, but it's way lower than that, it turns out. You can even hear the white noise from that. Still quite loud, honestly. And it's definitely still doing the clicky thing, too. I think that's about back to where we were. And then this says configure clocks. We did up here to sample rate. So this example is setting a bunch of different sample rates and playing a bunch of different files. But in my case, I want to just keep the same sample rate the whole time. So we did that, but then it does also have this. We could give it. And then set up the I2S out. And then we need this pen. Configure DAC. how is it giving it the PWM object? Not sure I follow. Well, the PWM object is on USM block, which is the pin. Okay. Okay, the pin is internally connected to the DAC, I think. All right, I will BRB again. Drinking a bunch of coffee, got to run to the restroom. BRB. Okay. So I think we just need to do this part once, basically. So for that in... Okay. Do none, meaning use B clock. I wish there was one example that just showed the new way only. This is like comparing the old way, the new way. I think that's what's going on here. And I do think it would be nice if there was one more. This is cool to be able to get the differences, but I think it would be nice if there's one more example that shows just the new way, not this and none. Unless I'm misunderstanding and that's not actually old way, new way. But I think that that might be what's going on here. So it does what? It's looping through... This is the number, right? Yeah, this is just 15 million. We have 15 million and none, and it's looping through both of those. And when it's 15 million, it creates this PWM object. And it then calls configure DAC, which is this function here, which calls configure clocks with 15 million. So we did call configure clocks with 15 million already. We don't care about the none option, I don't think, because none is what I have been doing, and I know that it sounds clicky, and the whole point of this exercise is to see if this PR changes the clickiness. No, like I said, if you play it with the right tempo, it actually sounds kind of cool. View him out. This is getting from board. Okay. So does that happen in that order or no? Because no, it creates the PWM first. Then it calls configure DAC, which calls configure clocks, which also even creates the DAC. So maybe we should set up the PWM first. Before we touch the DAC. So do that, then get the DAC, then configure clocks. 15 million, we passed that. This should be running at that frequency. And then beyond that, I think it's just use it like normal, right? This is playing wave files, but I think mostly it's just use it like normal after that. right, so let's see if this has anything else. And then we do still set this and that stuff. Get the audio and the Synthio and all that. Okay. Did not change the did not change that at all. Well, it kind of, it maybe sounds slightly different. I do think it sounds a bit different. It sounds less it sounds more like sine wavy and less sawtooth wavy to my ear. Let's see. So if I'm understanding that other code right, we could theoretically just take this back out and this also. Yeah, it's definitely different. It does sound different. It's way more, I don't know if harmonic is technically accurate, because I don't know if, oh, so this is actually one thing, though. We should have this here, probably. Well, but we're doing the same. What's code do? It's just files, but it doesn't. The PWM doesn't seem to match that. Whoops. Yeah. That does still sound a bit better too, but does still also have the same problem. Interesting. That one's like louder. Yeah, it basically sounds less harsh. The version with the like this one especially sounds quite a bit less harsh. Like sine wave versus saw wave in the synth is kind of the best way I can describe it. I don't think it's actually changing that, and I do think you can do that with Synthio to choose different sounds. This is kind of just tweaking the way the clock works internally in the DAC, which happens to make this sound differently in this way. All right, so we did go back to that's enabled. It does sound a bit better to my ear, so I'll leave it, but it does not handle the sort of like clicky thing that happens. It happens mostly on release, honestly. Oh, got two keys. It's basically like when it releases, there's like release and then an extra little hit and release again. Sometimes it does it at the beginning also. Like that one had a do-do attack, but that one didn't. That one had a clean attack and only the extra hit after the release. And we were hearing that with only one thing as well, right? That's not just the fact that we have a for loop of releases. Is that true? We could quickly make this not a chord by doing this, I think. Yeah. It definitely, when you release, there's an extra, like, shoot, at the end. After the end, in fact. Not at the end, but it's like, note, all the way plays, stops, little tiny gap, notes back on, then notes back off, and then it stays off. There's like that extra beep in there. And I don't know, I'm assuming that that is more to do with the DAC and the audio than it is Synthio, but I don't know. But for now, I will keep going. Okay, and it is doing it on a single note as well, so it's definitely not like a problem of the for loop or anything. Let me put the chord back, actually, because the chord is kind of cool sounding. All right, so what do we have next? Controlling notes. So far, the code has triggered the notes by itself. Pretty easy to trigger with... Nice, okay, so we accidentally jumped ahead again. By its nature, it thinks in terms of press and release. But it's different than most synths that have always running oscillators. So actually, one thing about Mixer... sorry, I got distracted ever so slightly here. Doesn't Mixer have a stop voice? Is there a per voice volume? On audio. I guess we wouldn't want to do that though. Unless we made a new voice for every note. There's a sample rate here as well. But I think we were hearing that even before I started using Mixer. We were hearing that from even when it was going straight level. So out of curiosity, what would happen here if we said mixer.voice 0 level 0? And I assume 1 is the default. It's actually way better. But the problem is... now it's more likely to do it at the beginning. I wonder if we waited until after we were playing to put the volume. That took care of most of it, honestly. There's still... it's still there a little tiny bit. I can hear it on some of them. Like there was it probably didn't even come through the mic, but there was a little bit of an extra click. It's not even the same like tone. You can almost just hear it trying to start the extra beep that it was doing before, but it trails off. Almost just sounds more like a pop, like an audio pop that you would hear when you plug in or unplug or something. It's definitely way cleaner this way. There, like, we got a couple there at the beginning. Like that one doubled up at the beginning. That one too. And I mean, it would be going 0 here. Is there any sense in doing this? I don't think that's going to make a difference. Try to curb out the last couple at the beginning? No, yeah, we got a double right off the bat there. There's no like pattern, it doesn't seem like, either, to like when it does it or when it doesn't do it. I don't know, that's interesting. Okay, but we're looking pretty good there. It definitely sounds a lot better. It does mess with the like multi notes or whatever, like, because if I add a second note, it pauses in the middle. But the thing is also, when we're playing the chords like this, pressing a second note just sounds super clashy anyway. Doesn't sound good at all. With the chords like this, I think it's a one note kind of a situation. Oop. Oop. Okay. Keys. Okay, this one is using a keypad object. So this is like sort of hardwired keyboard type thing, or multiple buttons or whatever. Ours is a bit different, but same idea with the released and pressed action going there. MIDI, this is what we're doing here. USB MIDI, or USB MIDI and T MIDI. MIDI creates this thing. So it looks like Toddbot's got his own MIDI action, MIDI sort of module as well. Started code MIDI. Read me 5 MIDI. Code MIDI. Where does T MIDI come from? MIDI. But code T MIDI imports T MIDI. Not sure, where do we get T MIDI from? Adafruit MIDI. This one's using... because I think the from is a little messed up here. This one is using Adafruit MIDI and receive, and it's using it on USB MIDI. What is that? Is that a core module? It is a core module. I guess that must be getting used inside of USB host. Or what? Yeah, this one. Must be getting used inside this one. Wait, am I using that? Yeah, it's this here, right? Yeah. But it does look pretty much the same. Like, I just got a different way to initialize this, essentially, inside that library, I think. Okay. I don't know where to get... Is it tmidi in a separate repo, maybe? Search repos. MIDI. Or it's from Winterbloom Small MIDI. Oh, and it looks like it's possibly in the community bundle. We could probably just circup install it. MIDI channel. Oh. And MIDI panic. And MIDI panic. I think this is... Well, no, it's getting input. This is feeding... This is doing two-way action. We don't have that, do we? I think so. Just have one. Where's MIDI, Adafruit MIDI? This one here? Yeah, we have only one. Interesting. Oh, there's the channel. I wonder, we could maybe try different channels. So this controller does send, it has a bunch of knobs and it has a bend, a pitch bend thing, but I think they use different MIDI channels. So possibly we could set up other objects on other channels. Not sure what is different. There's just like a basic receiver action. I'm not sure what's different between this and USB host MIDI, the library. It might just be newer or didn't exist at the time when this was, or didn't work possibly. I think there was some work that got done when the Fruit Jam was in dev. Oh. Oh boy. All right. What is this one doing? Got pressed notes going the same way, but it's not. I don't think it's not. Yeah, it's not using Synthio. This is just. Oh, okay. I think this is repeating the note you press, basically. Yeah. So the keyboard, actually, the controller I have has a button labeled ARP, which I'm guessing arpeggiator is probably what that's short for. And what it does is when you hold the button down, it will make it seem like you are pressing the button to the tempo instead of holding it down. It will like play it over and over and over again instead of just hold. And it looks like this is essentially the same thing. It's doing that similar deal where we're getting input from one thing and then we're sending output either to a different thing or a different interface on the same thing. I'm not clear on that part, but sending output also. And so it's getting input of the note, and then I guess it looks like while you hold the note down, it's going to be sending the output of that note to the tempo over and over again with the note on and the note off in a loop. It kind of looks like it does a similar thing to what the art button on the actual controller I have does. But it's like a way that you could do that if your controller didn't have that. Like an add-on for it. That's pretty cool. What is the multi-receive? Just two different MIDIs. One UART and one USB. Okay. Okay. I'd say I'm sort of basically up to here. I'm not using T-MIDI, but I am using something similar as far as the code goes to keep track of what's pressed and what's released, which it looks like is what this is going to go into. You know, notes playing, storing those, releasing them when the time comes, which is more or less part of what we have. So the new stuff that I haven't got to yet is anything here, responding to velocities, pitch bends, CCs, which I think would be like knobs and stuff, portmanteau. Okay. I think I am going to wrap it up here, though, and tackle that stuff another time. So, thank you for watching, everyone who has watched along. Happy New Year's to you. I hope that you all have a good rest of your day today, good weekend, good year, all of that kind of stuff. I will be back, I do believe, at the normal time next week. So Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Central Time. I'll be back here to play with some more CircuitPython stuff. I don't know for sure about deep dive. As far as I know, Scott's coming back to do deep dives at some point, but I'm not sure which week he's actually starting those. So it may be this week or it may not. I'm not sure. But as far as I understand it, the plan is for him to hop back in at some point, and then I'll just keep going on Saturdays. Yeah, thanks for the stream. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for watching along, Paul and C. Grover. Happy New Year to both of you. And yeah, farewell. So long. Thanks for watching. I will catch you all next time.